Have you guys been feeling a little bit broke lately? Well, hopefully after today's video, you'll be feeling like you have a lot more money in your pocket, because today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 rarest LEGO clone troopers of all time. I'm sure these are figures that most of you probably already own, just didn't realize how valuable they were. The rarity for these clone troopers is going to be based off of their current value that we see on Bricklink, the average price over the last 6 months that they've been sold for. And this is a good way to see how much money you could get if you decide to sell all your LEGO clone troopers. Also, before we get into it, make sure to go down in the comments below and let me know what you think the rarest clone trooper is going to be. I actually think this is going to be one that most of you guys aren't expecting, so it'll be cool to see what everyone's thinking. So starting things off at number 10, we have the 212th Airborne Trooper. This is not the one that I think most of you guys are expecting. It's not the one that we got in the Battle Pack in 2014. This is the one that we got in 2020 in that really overpriced General Grievous' Starfighter set. That set retailed for 80 bucks and it only included like 400 and something pieces, so it was not a good deal. But because of that absurd price point, and because this Airborne Trooper was based on the new era of LEGO clone troopers, this figure currently sells for an average price of $65.23. And in the last 6 months, the highest this figure ever sold was for $88.68. So if you actually decide to sell this figure, you could potentially make back the price for the entire set. And unfortunately, that one set is the only way that you can get this fig. Overall, this trooper does look really good. I do like the Airborne Trooper's look in this new style of clone trooper that we've been seeing in the past few years. But at the end of the day, it doesn't look too different from the one that we got in 2014 with that battle pack that most of us ended up picking up. So honestly, I couldn't see myself going out of my way just to buy this one fig. Either way though, if you did end up picking up this set, you have a really valuable clone on your hands. Moving on here to number 9, we have the Phase 2 104th Wolfpack Trooper. This was released in one set in 2014, which is set number 75045, the Republic AV7 anti-vehicle cannon. This was a super cool set for its time, not only for the clone troopers, but it also included Plo Koon as well. It retailed for 40 bucks, and currently one of these minifigures is valued at $66.03. So if you bought this set, you have 2 figs worth 66 bucks each. And you could honestly get more for that because the max sale price we saw in the last 6 months for this fig was $92.32. So it looks like there are people out there willing to fork out almost $100 for this one fig alone. And you know what? Hey, I can kind of understand why. I mean, just take a look at this fig. It has some of the most detailed printing that we've seen on any clone trooper. And Wolfpack Troopers are some of the coolest clones that we've gotten to see in Star Wars in general. So a super cool clone mixed with the fact that this is a great looking fig, I can kind of understand this price. The cool thing is though, this set wasn't actually that expensive and it was a really cool set as well, so I'm sure a lot of you guys actually own this one. If you actually own this fig, make sure to go down in the comments below and let me know whether you'd part with this figure for 66 bucks. Does that seem like a good price to you guys? I'm not one for reselling my figs, so if I had this, I would never get rid of it. Anyways, moving on to number 8 here, we have the 442nd Siege Battalion Trooper. This figure was included in one set in 2005, which is set number 7260, the Wookiee Catamaran. This set retails for $50, and currently you can get one of these figs for $74.34, with the max price this fig is sold for in the last 6 months being 90 bucks. Also in this set, you get 2 of these figs. So if you have this set, you have a whopping $150 just in these clone troopers alone. And that's not to mention that this set includes a light up Luminara and Dually minifigure, which is also quite a valuable minifigure. Anyways, the clone trooper itself, this is one of the first generation Phase 2 clones that we ever got in 2005 with the release of the Revenge of the Sith sets. I own this one, and yes, I know it does look a little bit wonky. At the time, clone troopers and also Mandalorians and most helmeted Star Wars characters were using slits in their masks with a black headpiece underneath to represent their visors. Luckily, LEGO ended up changing how clone troopers were done with the 2008 Clone Wars sets and gave us the clone troopers that we now know and love today. But at the time, these were top notch, man. This is what everyone wanted. And the coolest thing about these figs is that they're not actually Kashyyyk troopers. They're actually a special battalion called the 442nd Siege Battalion. And now that LEGO has consistently been giving us Kashyyyk troopers, I doubt they'll ever go back and make figs like this. At the time, this was just easier to make because they already had the molds done for these standard white clone troopers. They just added a little bit of printing here and there with the small bits of green. So the fig itself, very bland looking, but then again, this was the first era of Phase 2 clones. So for its time, this was a pretty cool fig. And next up at number 7, we have another 104th Wolfpack Trooper, this time in its Phase 1 variant. So yup, it looks like people really like Wolfpack Troopers. This one was released in one set in 2011. That is set number 7964, the Republic Frigate. This set retailed for $120, and currently one of these figures alone retails for $74.80. So it's slightly more expensive than the last fig that we looked at, but this has a much higher max sale price of $138.96. So if you own one of these, you could potentially get away with $140 for this one fig alone. Now this one's a little bit different, and it's actually a lot more detailed than the Phase 2 one that we just looked at. It's not using the dark gray color here, instead it's using the sand blue. And on top of that, this one not only has detailed helmet printing, but it also includes leg printing as well. So overall, I'd probably say this is the better fig, but I can't lie, I prefer Phase 2 clone troopers. So the last Wolfpack Trooper that we looked at is honestly really close. And I know what you guys are thinking, this set also includes another clone trooper who is also very valuable, but don't worry, we're gonna get to him in a bit. Anyways, a really cool fig. Let's go ahead and move on to number 6, which is the Shock Trooper. This was included in one set in 2014, set number 75046, the Coruscant Police Gunship. This was a super cool set based on a really great arc that I'm sure you guys know from the Clone Wars TV series. And this set at the time retailed for $50, whereas right now the average sale price for this fig is $79.86. Also with a max sale price of $131.96. Now this is a set that I really regret not getting when it came out. I still think 2014 is probably the best year of LEGO Star Wars that we've ever seen. And a lot of that is due to this one set that we're taking a look at here. Not only is a really cool vehicle that we get to see in the Clone Wars TV series, we get Anakin and a really cool Ahsoka figure as well, but we also get 2 of these Shock Troopers. And honestly, Shock Troopers are some of the clones that we don't get to see enough of in LEGO form, especially with how much we get to see them in the movie and how important they are to Coruscant, which is one of the central planets in the Clone Wars. That is obviously going to change this year when we get that new gunship, but still I would have liked to see a lot more Shock Troopers throughout the years. Either way though, this figure, for its time, is still a really good fig. It's done in the Clone Wars animated style, so I would prefer the more realistic movie version, but nonetheless, the prints are great. The red here, it just pops so much. The lines on the helmet, everything looks good. And even compared to today's figs, this fig holds up really well, even though it's almost 10 years old. So a super cool Shock Trooper. Let me know if you guys have this one down in the comments below. At $50, that original set is an absolute steal, because currently I think it's worth like 300 something bucks, and these figs alone are almost 100 themselves. So a super good investment back in 2014 if you did decide to buy this set. Alright guys, we're now halfway through our list, and at number 5 we have Phase 1 Captain Rex. This one's kind of weird because you actually have 2 different variants of this figure that was included in 3 different sets, but that variant is pretty much the exact same, so their prices are pretty much the same as well. The first variant here actually released in 2008 and was included in 2 sets. The first set here being set number 7675, the ATTE Walker. This one retailed for $90. And then also a San Diego Comic-Con set that was just called the Clone Wars, and at the time it retailed for $76. Now this version of Rex had the visor as one of the accessories, but then this fig was also re-released in 2011 in one set called the Battle of Geonosis. Now this version of Rex had the visor, but then it was re-released again in 2011 in set number 7869, the Battle for Geonosis, and this set retailed for $40. And the only thing that's really different about this fig is the fact that it has the rangefinder instead of the visor. So pretty much the exact same figs, and both these will currently cost around $108. But the max sale price for this one is actually a whopping $200. So the potential is there, and I'm sure a lot of you guys actually own this fig as well. But obviously this one here is not the super rare Captain Rex fig that we know. That would be the Phase 2, and don't worry, we're going to get to him later on the list. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and continue on to number 4 here, which is Phase 1 Commander Fox. He was released in one set in 2008, which is set number 7681, the Separatist Spider Droid, and this set originally retailed for $30. Now this fig is a little bit weird because we actually got 2 variations of the same figure. One actually has a gray semicircle printed right above his belt, and then one doesn't. They were both included in the same set, but I guess LEGO decided to make a change. Maybe it just wasn't that accurate to how he looked in the show. Still though, both these figures are pretty much the same price. The one with the gray semicircle currently costs $141.91. And then the one without the semicircle will cost you about $136. But we've also seen this Commander Fox fig go for almost $150, so you can definitely get more for this figure. Either way, he was definitely one of the coolest Phase 1 Clone Wars clone troopers that we got all the way in 2008. And he still honestly looks pretty cool to this day. I can't wait to see what he's going to look like in that upcoming gunship set. So yeah, a great looking figure here. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3 with Phase 1 Commander Wolffe. So we already looked at some of those Wolfpack Troopers earlier on this list, but this fig is also included in the same set. So he was also released in 2011 in that Republic Frigate set. That set did retail for $120, but the one thing is this figure is worth a lot more and will currently cost you $142.49. And that's not even all of it. We've currently seen this fig sell for $200 in the last 6 months. And it kind of makes a lot of sense why. I mean, Commander Wolffe is one of the coolest looking clone troopers that we've ever seen. In my opinion, he looks much cooler when he's in that Phase 2 armor, but his Phase 1 suit also looks really cool as well. And as a Lego figure goes, he just has a crazy amount of printing and detail here. Also, you gotta remember this fig came out in 2011, so at the time, getting detailed clone troopers wasn't that common. And on top of that, you gotta mix in the fact that he has a really cool head printing as well with his damaged eye. So yeah, just a great character in the universe and also a great looking minifig. Definitely makes sense why it's valued so high. Alright guys, here we go. At number 2, we have a fig that I thought was gonna be number 1 on this list, which is the infamous Phase 2 Captain Rex. Now, I'm sure you guys all already know about this figure, but I'm going to go through the details anyway. He was included in one set in 2013, which is set number 75012, the Bark Speeder with sidecar. This set, when it first came out, only retailed for $25, but currently, this Captain Rex sells for an average of $182.40. And that is just an average because we've seen the max price of this fig go all the way up to $379.95. Like, this one fig alone is worth as much as most UCS Lego Star Wars sets. And we all know why, right? Because this Captain Rex, arguably the most popular clone trooper in Star Wars, such a major character in the Clone Wars, Rebels, the Bad Batch, and who knows, maybe he even shows up in live action. He's a fan favorite. Everybody loves Captain Rex, but unfortunately for some reason, Lego decides to never include him in any upcoming sets. And I always found this really strange. The last time that we got such a major character, that being Captain Rex, was all the way in 2013. And part of the reason he's valued so highly is because this is the only version in his Phase 2 armor, which is what we see him wear most of the time. Like, Phase 2 Rex is like the definitive version of Captain Rex and is what we want as a minifigure for the character. We've seen him return in his Rebels variation where he's like an old man, but that's just not the same thing. And yeah, it's just super weird that Lego does not include him in more sets. To me, it's almost like not having Ahsoka in sets. Like, she's a major character in Star Wars, and it'd be kind of weird if we only saw her once in Lego form. But that's the situation that we're getting here with Rex. Now, Lego is kind of addressing this because he will probably be included in the upcoming UCS Venator set, but the problem is that set is going to probably cost around $600, so it's going to be way too expensive for most people to get their hands on. And that one figure alone in that set is probably going to be the same price as the current Phase 2 Rex. Probably going to cost you about $100 just to get the fig alone. So yeah, that's not really a solution in my eyes, and I think it's really dumb that Lego is keeping away such a fan favorite character away from the fans and making him super inaccessible to everybody. And the thing that breaks my heart the most is not even for people like me or other collectors who have the money to spend hundreds of dollars on individual minifigures. It's not us who are really hurting in this. It's the kids and people who grow up watching Captain Rex, who really liked Captain Rex and want to have him in minifigure form, and they just can't because he's nowhere to be found. And if you do want to get him, you're gonna have to fork out hundreds of dollars. That is super messed up, and it shouldn't be like that. But I think Lego will eventually listen at some point. I think they're gonna have to. Rex is just one of those characters. He's just way too large to exclude for this long. So I know I haven't really been talking about the figure itself because there's not much else to add about the figure. It's a great fig. It just really sucks how overinflated its price has gotten when it really shouldn't be that way. But the fig itself, for what it is super cool. The one thing it is missing, the one key factor it's missing though, is that rangefinder, and hopefully the new variation, the one that's upcoming in the UCS Venator, will actually have the holes so you can put in the rangefinder. That's a very important part of Captain Rex's look, and it was kind of sad that this Phase 2 version was missing that, but it makes sense. At the time they didn't have support for that, but now they do. So it'll be nice to have a new, updated, definitive version of Captain Rex. But I really hope that Lego re-releases that fig in the UCS set and some smaller set at some point. It really shouldn't be that hard to buy a Lego Captain Rex. Anyways, for any of you guys that own this fig though, you must be really happy to have that in your collection, and if you ever decide to part ways with it, you can get a whole bunch of money for it. So Captain Rex was actually the one that I thought was going to be at number 1 on this list. Like, if you asked me who I thought the rarest clone trooper was, I was going to definitely say Captain Rex, but it turns out that is not the case. So at number 1, the rarest Lego clone trooper of all time is actually the Shadow ARF Trooper from 2011. And this fig was only included in one set. It wasn't really a set, it was a poly bag that just included the fig, but it was actually a May the 4th promo. So there was no actual retail price for this set. You just bought it on May the 4th when you spent a certain amount of money at the Lego store. But I guess not a lot of people did that because currently this figure runs for $368.15. And that's not even the craziest part. The max price that we've seen this sell in the past 6 months has been a whopping $549.95 for just one minifigure. That is absolutely insane, especially when you take a look at the fig itself. We've seen other ARF troopers before, and ARF troopers are really cool, don't get me wrong. But this fig, as cool as he is not that special. He's got no leg printing, no arm printing, nothing like that. And the printing he has on his torso is just the standard clone trooper, like 2008, 2011 look, just done in black. And then the coolest part about this fig is the fact that you get the ARF Trooper helmet in black as well, which looks cool, don't get me wrong, but is it $368 cool? That's the question. Like, I know this is technically valued at a higher price, but I would still take a Phase 2 Captain Rex over this. I've always known about this figure. I always knew it was quite expensive. I just didn't realize how expensive. Like, this thing is currently worth twice as much as Phase 2 Rex, and that is an absolutely insane price point. But yeah, guys, there it is. There are your top 10 rarest Lego clone troopers of all time. Are you guys feeling a little bit richer? Did you guys actually own any of these figs? And now that you know how much these are valued at, would you actually consider parting with them for the money? Also, were your guesses correct? Did you guys actually see that coming, that the Shadow ARF would be a higher value fig than Phase 2 Rex? Personally, I didn't see that coming at all. I was kind of shocked when I was putting together this list. But yeah, guys, whatever you're thinking, as usual, make sure to let me know down in the comments below. Also, for tons of more Lego Star Wars content, make sure to subscribe and also leave a like on this video. It would help me out a ton. So yeah, guys, that will pretty much do it for me. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.